friends, what is up? My name is Kat and welcome to my channel. Today we're talking about Mean Girls the Musical, Cameron Dallas, and a whole lot of controversy. Not fetch. Also in today's video, we're going to have a deeper, longer conversation regarding why people with more followers seemingly get all of these crazy opportunities. And truthfully, this is going to be just a conversation. Anyway, this is to say that at least in my mind, there's no clear-cut answer. There's a lot of factors going on, so let's jump on into it. Question of the day, what are your thoughts on Cameron Dallas joining the cast of Mean Girls for a limited engagement? Are you a big fan of him and you think this is a perfect match? Can you not stand him and you're absolutely appalled that he's in it? Do you have no clue who he is? That was me prior to this video. Let me know your thoughts on Cameron Dallas and Mean Girls the Musical in the comments down below. So first, a bit of background. If you didn't know, Cameron Dallas is a 25-year-old who first gained popularity on Vine. From the research I did, it seems like Cameron Dallas started off doing prank videos and then parlayed that into a career in pop music. He was part of MagCon alongside Nash Grier and Shawn Mendes, which, side note, I didn't realize that Shawn Mendes was part of MagCon. Cameron even has a Netflix documentary about him and more than 20 million followers on Instagram alone. This past weekend, he made his Broadway debut in Mean Girls the Musical as Aaron Samuels, Regina's ex-boyfriend and Cady Heron's love interest. By the time I was reading everything, all the bootlegged clips that had gotten leaked onto Twitter had been deleted by the copyright owner, which in this case I guess would be Mean Girls or their company. So I have not heard him, I have not seen him, I'm not going to be able to see him because if you didn't know, I do live on the other side of the country from Broadway. So I'm personally unable to speak to the quality of his performance, and either way it doesn't really matter because talent is subjective. Anywho, that leads us to today. The reviews are harsh. From what I've pieced together through Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, articles, it's pretty bleak. From what I've put together, the show and the role just aren't really in his range. They had to cut and change material to fit him better. He appears bored on stage, but in general, Broadway audiences haven't been responding too kindly to him. All that being said, I'm not here to bash this guy for a number of reasons. One, in general, I try not to bash people. I don't think it's nice and it's not something that I'd like done to me. I don't know him, I don't follow him, I'm not a fan of him, I don't dislike him, I just literally do not know him. And even if I did, talent is subjective, and ultimately I feel like it's not really fair. Like, I feel bad for him. Think about it this way. I'm sure that it is super scary to take a big swing and do Broadway with no musical theater experience that I know of. That's like me joining the Olympic track team. Like, I know how to run, but if you place me next to a bunch of professionals who do this every single day and have been training their whole life for it and have tons and tons of experience, and then you suddenly expect me to perform on their level at the biggest stage with the highest consequences possible? That's crazy. So it kind of sucks all around. I definitely feel for this guy, but I also definitely really feel for all of the qualified musical theater performers who didn't get the same opportunity he did. Because if you don't know, or if you haven't heard, being a musical theater actor, or just an actor in any capacity, is so insanely competitive. There are people who eat, sleep, and breathe Broadway and have been training at a very elite level for a very long time to be able to perform at that level. Like, you are truly an athlete. So it's kind of a tough break all around. So at this point, you might be asking yourself, why? Why did Mean Girls even do this? Why cast Cameron Dallas? If they wanted to bring in a celebrity for a couple of weeks, why not cast someone like Ansel Elgort or Nick Jonas, both of whom have extensive musical theater background and a mainstream name? Easy answer? Money. And that hits in two different ways. First off, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that the number of dollars it would take to get Ansel or Nick to do a 4-week run in Mean Girls at this time right now, that number is gonna be a little higher than Cameron's. So Mean Girls might not have had other options. Additionally, even if they had someone else that they wanted and could afford and made sense business-wise, that person might not be available. They might be under contract. They might be doing press or post or have another engagement attached to another show, like Jordan Fisher. Second reason, let's take a look at followers. A huge disclaimer. It is nearly impossible to figure out how much people online or just people in the entertainment industry in general are making. The numbers fluctuate so wildly. The numbers regarding different deals change so much. There are tons of variables. You don't know how many people are on their payroll. You don't know what got negotiated. Even if you're getting info from reputable sources, it's really difficult to get an accurate ballpark. But just for the heck of it, I decided to try to calculate and estimate how much Cameron Dallas would charge for a sponsored post. Specifically, one photo onto his Instagram feed. So for a single post on his Instagram feed, my estimate is that Cameron Dallas charges between $25,000 and $250,000. I know that that range is insanely large, but again, it is so difficult to get like an accurate number of what people charge. Even then, it doesn't really matter the exact number, just know that it's a big number. And also, let me make this clear, I am not trying to drag him or his business or how much he makes. He is a massive creator, and he himself as a brand is a business. As of today, in his feed, Cameron has posted 4 photos about Mean Girls, plus dozens of posts to his Instagram story, which I'm not even going to try to calculate. None of those photos are accompanied with the FTC legally required hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored, or the little photo disclaimer thing at the top. So let's assume that Cameron is just doing this just because he wants to post, not because he's getting paid to, not because it's part of his contract. He's just posting. Based off of the numbers that we discussed earlier, that means that Mean Girls the musical has received somewhere between $100,000 to $1 million worth of free advertisement. They cast someone who is sure to bring in a ton of ticket sales, particularly from people who might not otherwise have bought tickets for a Broadway musical. And on top of that, they're receiving tons of free advertisement. Not just on Cameron's feed either. Him joining the cast was blowing up all over social media. Tons of news outlets have been reporting about it, especially news outlets who would never normally cover Broadway news. Heck, we're even talking about it right now. So whenever you hear about someone with a huge online following getting to do something really cool, like going to Fashion Week or working with Louis Vuitton or getting a TV show, that's why that happens. You've got a built-in audience who wants to see that person, plus free advertising. Sometimes stunt casting works, and it happens a lot. Think about Joe Sugg or Colleen Ballinger, aka Miranda Sings, joining the cast of Waitress. Chicago the Musical has been doing stunt casting for how long? This is just a little sliver of the people that they've cast in limited engagements in an effort to drive ticket sales and bring in new people. Also, if you don't know, Chicago is one of the longest running musicals of all time, so the fact that Mean Girls is bringing in Cameron Dallas doesn't necessarily mean that they're in financial trouble. It might be, but not necessarily. Here's another case study that I want to discuss. Dove Cameron in Light in the Piazza. Light in the Piazza is a show that has always struggled with popularity and name recognition. It's not terribly popular with regional theaters, and it's a difficult sell. It has a more mature tone, but there's nothing salacious about it, so it's not like sexy or gory, it's just kind of adult, if that makes sense. Enter Disney Channel's Dove Cameron. With almost 34 million Instagram followers and a deep affection for Light in the Piazza, I personally feel that she gave that show a new life that it couldn't have had otherwise. Light in the Piazza is one of my favorite shows of all time, and I actually got to see her production of it. Speaking to the quality of her performance, I thought her acting was phenomenal. She dug deeper and found more nuance in the character than I think a lot of people had. It was clear how much she loved and respected the material and how excited she was to be there. And yeah, her vocals were a little more pop, and she sounded a little younger than I normally would have anticipated or liked for the score, but she made it a character choice. She made it work. So what was that little tangent for? A, any excuse to talk about Light in the Piazza, and I will take it. B, stunt casting isn't always a bad thing. This was a show that needed a mainstream celebrity to headline it in order to get the attention that it needed. It's a tricky situation because I feel for the theaters and I feel for the productions who we don't know what's going on with their financials, but I can almost guarantee you when these kind of decisions are made, it's about business. But on the other hand, as a musical theater performer and lover, it sucks. It is so infuriating when something like seniority or followers, stuff that you can't control, is inhibiting your career. It's a very tough financial climate on Broadway right now. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have 2 videos that should explain a little more what's going on money-wise in New York and the theater scene. I'll put that in the description down below. I wish that there were like a cleaner ending. Maybe it's just me being like a structure person, but I don't think there is a clean ending because stunt casting and anything having to do with that is an ongoing conversation, and it's something that we're probably going to continue dealing with. Again, let me know your thoughts on everything in the comments down below. If you're new here, hit subscribe, join the musical theater internet cult, which, yeah, by the way, I didn't mention that earlier. We are a musical theater internet cult. If you liked this video or if you found it useful, please give it a big thumbs up. It really helps me out and I'd really appreciate it. I hope you guys are having a great day. I love you so, so much. Break a leg, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!